Being a single mom is amazing, but let's be real. It can be a fast track to feeling lonely. And that's why we're doing this deep dive today. We're tackling those feelings of loneliness and isolation head on.
It's so important. It's something so many single moms struggle with.
You're right. And we're going beyond just saying it's hard. We're diving into advice from an episode of the Single Mothers podcast. Their guest, Saint Vincent, had some really practical advice for building emotional resilience.
I love that he just dives right in. He acknowledges those feelings of loneliness so many single mothers feel.
Yeah, he doesn't sugarcoat it. He's like, listen, feeling lonely sometimes is totally normal.
Yeah.
Especially when you're raising kids solo. Between work and the kids and just trying to breathe, it's easy to feel like you're on an island.
It's true. And then on top of that, you have all these societal pressures and expectations that can make you feel even more isolated.
Right. It's like this unspoken rule that you have to be superhuman. Like you can never show any weakness.
Exactly. And that's where St. Vincent's 6 steps for building emotional resilience come in. He gives you a roadmap, not just to survive, but to really thrive as a single parent.
Okay, so roadmap it is. Let's break it down. His first step is embracing your emotions, which I think is huge because it's so easy to just put on a brave face and power through. But he's saying, no, you got to do something totally different.
He's saying you need to be compassionate with yourself, acknowledge and process those feelings instead of burying them.
So true. So instead of thinking, ugh, I shouldn't be feeling this way, it's more about saying, okay, this is how I'm feeling right now. What can I do to work through it?
Exactly. It's about recognizing your feelings are valid. They're trying to tell you something.
Like setting up a signal flare. Okay, I'm tuned in. What's next on the roadmap?
Step 2 is building your support network. And this is huge. We as humans need connection.
So true. But I'm already overwhelmed. Is building a support network just another thing for my to-do list? How can I actually make this happen?
And that's what's so great about St. Vincent's advice. It doesn't need to be anything big. It's about finding those little moments of connection in your everyday.
I like that. So what does that look like?
Maybe it's reconnecting with a friend, or checking out a local support group, or even just looking for online communities.
I love that. Finding your people who get it. But it can be scary putting yourself out there, especially if you're more introverted.
Start small. St. Vincent talks about this. You don't need to find a new best friend right away. Maybe you go to one online meeting or send a message to someone you admire online.
That's a good point. We put so much pressure on ourselves for those big instant connections. But sometimes it's about those baby steps and seeing where they lead.
And when you're taking those baby steps, that's a great time to remember step 3.
Okay, step 3.
Cultivating self-compassion.
That's a big one. It's so easy to blame myself. I should be handling this better. I should be doing more.
There's always that voice, right, telling you you need to be superhuman, that asking for help is weak.
Ugh, I know that voice.
But St. Vincent says that's totally wrong. He says you have to show yourself kindness, understanding.
So instead of being mean to myself, I should be my own best friend.
Basically, you're doing the best you can with what you have, and that is enough.
I love that. Permission to be human. Flaws.
That's right.
But how do I actually do that? How do I actually show myself compassion?
It's going to sound simple, but you have to notice when you're being mean to yourself.
Okay.
When that voice pops up. And then you choose a different thought.
So I hear you criticizing me, brain. But I'm going to choose to be kind to myself instead.
Yes.
Okay. I like it.
And you know what? This leads perfectly into step 4.
Oh, does it?
Being intentional about making connections.
Okay, but easier said than done, right? I'm a mom. My schedule is bananas.
And St. Vincent gets that. He's not saying you need to plan a whole weekend away. It's about those small moments.
Okay, so what are we talking about?
What if you call a friend while you're doing laundry? Or schedule a quick coffee date?
Or even just like making eye contact with someone at the store.
Exactly.
Just those little reminders that you're not alone.
Yes.
That human connection is so important.
And I love that he talks about strengthening your relationship with yourself.
Okay, step 5. Tell me more about this one.
It's about claiming your time.
My time.
Your time. It's about remembering the things you love, the things that bring you joy.
It's so easy to forget about that. When you're a mom, it's like you stop being a person.
You're still in there. What did you love to do?
Oh, man. Before kids?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Maybe you start journaling again. Or reading. Taking a long bath.
Okay, so I need to make time for me.
It's not selfish. Think of it like this. You can't pour from an empty cup.
So I need to fill my own cup.
So you can be the best mom you can be.
Okay, I'm convinced. So we've covered a lot. Embracing my emotions, finding my people, being kind to myself, Finding those moments of connection and remembering to make time for me. What's the last step on the roadmap?
The last step is knowing when to ask for help.
Asking for help is so hard,
It really is.
but it's so important.
And St. Vincent agrees. He says there's no shame in asking for help,
None.
whether it's from a therapist or a counselor or a support group.
And it's not a sign of weakness either. He says it's actually a sign of strength.
I love that. It's like that saying, asking for help doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're ready to be strong.
It's so true. Sometimes we need a little help to get through those rough times.
Absolutely. But I'll be honest, it can be really scary to reach out, like taking that first step into the unknown.
It is. Start small. Talk to someone you already trust, like a friend or a family member.
Or even my doctor.
Yes, they can give you some advice. Or just listen.
It's like I always say, you don't have to have it all figured out. It's okay to ask for help. And there are so many resources for single moms. You are not alone.
That is such a good reminder.
It's easy to feel like you have to do everything yourself. But you don't.
It takes a village. And sometimes that village includes a therapist.
And speaking of support, we can't forget St. Vincent's final message.
What's that?
He reminds us that we are enough.
Just as we are.
Yes.
I needed to hear that today.
We all do.
It's so easy to get caught up in everything we should be doing or could be doing. But at the end of the day, we are enough.
Your kids think so too.
That's a good point. They don't care if the house is a mess or if I burn dinner. They just care that I'm here.
Exactly. And that's what matters.
So as we wrap up our deep dive today, what's one thing you want our listeners to remember?
If you're feeling lonely, you're not alone. Remember everything we talked about today. Embrace those feelings. Build your support system. Be kind to yourself. Make those connections. Make time for yourself. And reach out for help if you need it.
All amazing advice. And you know what? I have a little challenge for our listeners.
Okay, I like this.
If you're feeling up to it, I want you to grab a piece of paper and a pen.
Old school.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And just jot down a few names. The names of people in your life who make you feel loved.
Who make you feel supported, who make you feel seen.
Yes. And if that list feels a little short right now, that's okay. Because you have the power to make it longer. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there, to build those connections. Because you deserve to feel supported and loved and anything but alone. This single parenting journey is tough,
Yeah.
but you've got this